Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. I'm back for another Roscoe's recap, and this viewing party was for Season 15, Episode 12, and the guests were Season 15 contestants Sasha Colby and Luxx Noir London. And if you want to watch the full viewing party, I'll put a link to it in the description. Today we're going to be talking about who the biggest crybaby was on Season 15. Sasha says that Mistress, quote, gaslit her into thinking that she was in the bottom, and Luxx responds to people thinking that she is cocky and delusional. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Please note that because we're going to be talking about the outcome of certain episodes of Drag Race, there is a spoiler alert in place for this video. They've started out by talking about the lip sync from last week between Anetra and Marcia, and Luxx said that it was the only time she saw everyone in the room, quote, ovation for at least a minute, and Luxx said that she was surprised that it wasn't a double save. Host Naysha Lopez then said that reality TV isn't real, and she brought up the fact that certain contestants, such as Lucy LaDuca, have been shown to be a little bit delusional and being a, quote, pick-me queen. And Naysha asked if the edit for all of the queens has been accurate. Luxx said, quote, contrary to what people are saying, from my perspective, it was pretty accurate to what was happening in real time. And the other host, Batty Davis, brought up Selena S. Titties and said that in her confessionals, she is a little, quote, jabby, and asked if that was what Selena was really like. And Sasha said that Selena is, quote, spicy in the confessionals, but then said that she is a, quote, crybaby in the workroom, and everyone laughed, and Sasha laughed and said, quote, she knows it. And Batty then asked who was the bigger crybaby between Selena and Lucy LaDuca, and Luxx said that physically, Selena has cried more often, but she said, quote, metaphorically, Lucy's complained a little more than Selena. And the guests were then asked if they wished something had been shown in the edit that wasn't shown. And Luxx said, quote, I do wish they showed Lucy leading us to the win a little more, and everyone in the audience started laughing. And this appears to be a reference to the beginning of this week's episode, where Lucy said that although she and Luxx both won last week's comedy challenge, Lucy felt that she had led the two of them to the win. And it appears that Luxx was making a jokey dig about Lucy's comment, but Luxx didn't clarify whether she was joking or not. Naysha then asked Sasha about the episode from a few weeks ago where the contestants had to interview celebrities, and Sasha interviewed Charo and ended up winning the episode. And Naysha said that she had heard from others in the cast that even Sasha was surprised that she won that week, and Naysha asked Sasha if that was true. Sasha explained that all the contestants got to watch each other's interviews so they all knew how each other had performed. And Sasha said that Mistress Isabelle Brooks, quote, gaslit me to think that I did bad. And Sasha explained that Mistress had asked Sasha who she thought was going to be in the bottom, and Sasha said that she thought Mistress and Malaysia were going to be in the bottom. However, apparently Mistress said that she thought that Sasha might be in the bottom because Charo was really hard. And that made Sasha doubt herself, and then she went to the runway day thinking that she might be in the bottom. And Sasha then joked and said, quote, thank you, Mistress. They then got to this week's episode, which was the Rusical, and Naysha brought up the moment in the rehearsal when Mistress pointed out that Luxx's coat had a security tag in it, and Naysha asked what the story was behind that. Luxx said, quote, first things first, I've never had to steal anything. And then she joked and said, quote, I don't steal, I mop. No, I'm just kidding. And Luxx explained that right before she went to film Drag Race, she spent over $1,000 on new clothes for the workroom, and because everyone had told her that the workroom is cold, she decided to buy a coat. But apparently because she bought so much stuff, she didn't realise that the security tag had been left in by accident, and it was too close to the filming date for her to go to the store to get it removed. And Batty joked and asked, quote, did you pay for it? And asked for the receipt, and everyone in the audience started laughing. And Luxx said that she didn't have the receipt, and then Batty joked again and said, quote, I want to see the receipt for your 40-inch wig too. This is a reference to episode 1 of the season where Luxx said that her wig was 40 inches, but everyone seemed to doubt that, and it's become a bit of a joke online. Luxx said, quote, regarding this 40-inch wig situation, I just have one thing to say. It happened 10 weeks ago and I still get comments for it. Unless you're writing me a check for $40,000, I'm not telling you if the wig is 40 inches or not. They then moved on, and Naysha asked the guests who from the cast they were close with and had formed relationships with. And Luxx said that she was cordial with everyone, but her voice went up really high when she was speaking, and everyone joked that Luxx must be lying. And Luxx said that she's not lying and that she would tell you if she had a problem with anyone, but she added that she's not super close with Aura Mayari. And the episode started playing again, so they said that they would come back to this point. And then when they came back, Luxx said that it would be easier to say who she is close to, and she said that she's close to Sasha, Mistress, Marcia, Sugar and Spice, Malaysia and Selena, and she said that those are her primary girls. And Luxx added that she doesn't have any ill will or hard feelings towards anyone, and said that there are 16 queens and not everyone is going to be BFFs. They then moved on to the Rusical performance for this week's challenge, which was called Wigloose, and host Caramel said that the season 14 queens had said that for the Moulin Rouge Rusical, they had a weekend to rehearse for that, and she asked if the season 15 queens had the same amount of time. And Sasha said yes, and then Luxx said, quote, potentially, and people started laughing, so it's assumed that Luxx was being careful, probably because of the NDA and not wanting to spill any production secrets. And then Naysha asked how many times they had performed the Rusical, and Sasha said that they did it twice for different camera angles. And Caramel asked if the 80s style clothing was provided, or was that in the list of things to bring for the show, and Sasha said that the wardrobe and hair and everything was provided for them. They then moved on to the runway for this week, and the theme was Everybody Say Glove. And Luxx revealed something interesting and said that the wig that she was wearing for the runway was actually the Kelly Rowland puppet wig that Mistress had worn a few episodes before for the Beyoncé runway. Caramel then asked whose runway this week had room for improvement, and Luxx said, quote, I didn't love Lucy's if we're going to be honest. And she also said that she loved Anetra's look, but wished that the lasers were more prominent because you couldn't really see them under the runway lights. They then moved on to the part of the episode where RuPaul asked the queens who should go home tonight and why, and Naysha said that Luxx had gone down the line and said something positive about each person, but then read Lucy. And Luxx explained that she wanted to explain her reasoning for her choice, which is why she said something positive about everyone, and she said that she did say something positive about Lucy, but, quote, I don't know if amnesia will strike and will forget I said that. But Luxx said that although it didn't air, she did also read Selena slightly and said that Selena, quote, is not as polished, but she has a clear point of view. And Luxx said that she said what she said and she meant it. And Luxx also said that because she gave everyone compliments, she didn't want to then just go to Lucy and say, quote, and Lucy sucks. And Luxx said that Lucy is amazing at what she does and she's really good in Snatch Game and has done well in the competition, but her drag is a little, quote, generic. And Luxx finished by saying, quote, she's got charisma, nerve and talent, she's for me just kind of missing the uniqueness. They then got to the end of the episode where Selena was eliminated, and then they moved on to Untucked. And they brought up the moment when Anetra got a video message from her friend, and when Anetra had finished explaining how much her friend meant to her, Mistress said, quote, I'm so happy for you. But from the edit, it almost sounded a bit sarcastic, but it wasn't clear. But Luxx clarified that Mistress didn't mean it sarcastically and she was being sincere, and Luxx said that everyone was just so exhausted that day, which is probably why Mistress said it a bit weirdly. They then moved on and talked more generally about Drag Race, and Caramel asked if Sasha's drag daughter, Kerri Colby, who competed on season 14, or Luxx's mother, Mo Hart, who competed on season 10 All Stars 4 and UK vs. the World, had helped either of them get ready for the season. Luxx said that Mo had helped her conceptualise her glove look and also helped her out financially and made some hair for her. And she also gave Luxx advice about what to expect and also things not to do. And Sasha joked that Kerri didn't give her any advice because they're both, quote, July Leos and we don't like asking for help. But Sasha said that actually the one person who did help her out was Mo Hart because she gave her some advice about production and also made some hair for her. They then moved on to the audience Q&A, but first Batty asked them whose concert they'd most like to go to, and they both said Beyoncé. And Sasha said that Kerri did actually get tickets to Beyoncé's tour for the both of them, but Sasha isn't able to go because she has to film something for Drag Race that day, but she didn't explain what. And Nasia asked Sasha if this was the first season that she'd ever auditioned for Drag Race, and Sasha said yes. An audience member then asked which queen who got eliminated early on season 15 did they think left too early and who they would want to bring back and why. Sasha said that Princess Poppy got eliminated a bit too early, and she said that she was really funny. And she also said that Irene Dubois would have been, quote, amazing television, and then said, quote, we probably got rid of the villain really early. Another audience member asked if the contestants had any idea how they would be perceived on the show by the audience. And Sasha said that she wasn't that worried about how she was perceived, but she was aware that this was on television, so you need to be able to stand by everything that you say and do. And Luxx said that her perception before going on the show has been pretty accurate to how she has actually been perceived so far on the show. And Luxx said, quote, people think I'm a bee, people think I'm cocky, people think I'm delusional, and they're absolutely right and they should feel those things. And Luxx explained that, quote, when people who look like me and act like me are given a platform, they are deemed as the negative or the aggressor. And Luxx said, quote, I knew there would be people who'd think she's too much, she's this, she's that, and they're absolutely right and keep thinking it because it got me here today. And everyone clapped and cheered for Luxx. And Sasha said that during filming, Luxx would often say that she thought she did okay in the challenges, but would then correct herself and said that she thought that she did really well. And Sasha said, quote, a lot of people don't see a black queer queen loving themselves, and sometimes it's threatening to a lot of people, but I admire it. And Luxx said she often underplayed how well she did, but then started not doing that, and she said, quote, I'm doing amazing, I'm going to say how I'm doing, and if you don't like that, then you can cry about being second place. And another audience member asked how random it is when you get put into teams, and specifically brought up last week's challenge when the queens picked cans of bubbly water which corresponded to the teams. And Sasha confirmed that that particular one was pretty random and that they just picked the cans. And Sasha said for the girl group challenge, they got put into groups depending on the order that they were naturally stood in the line. And Luxx said that sometimes the producers would just assign the groups and tell the queens which groups they're in, but Luxx added that they were never told what order to stand in and said that she was often in a group with Marcia because they often stood next to each other in the line. And Sasha said that sometimes she would deliberately stand in a random place in the line to switch up the teams. And finally, there was a really sweet moment when Nasia called up a couple to the stage for a special announcement, and one of them got down on one knee and proposed, and the other one said yes. And the audience cheered, and it was a really lovely moment. If you'd like early access to my videos before they go on YouTube, as well as shoutouts in my videos, priority when submitting interview questions, and also access to my archived videos, you can join my Patreon for just a few dollars a month to unlock these incredible benefits. I'll put a link in the description. And I'd like to give a shout out to my members who have joined my Patreon in the You're a Winner Baby tier this week. So thank you to Ronnie and PC Smush. You are all absolute legends and I really appreciate all of your amazing support. So there you go, there was the Roscoe's recap for RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 Episode 12. Do you agree with the outcome of this week's episode? And who do you think will win Season 15? Let me know in the comments. Please make sure you like, comment and share this video as it really helps support my channel. And of course, please make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date about new uploads. Thanks for watching and I hope you'll join me again in future videos. Thank you, bye!